Hi there, welcome to Global Cars Brands. In today's video, we'd like to show you the 20 most expensive car brands. Have you ever just pictured yourself driving the coolest, most expensive car in the world? Despite the fact that we all know that the title of the most expensive is rarely something we ever want to attribute to our belongings, there is certainly an alluring aspect to it which does get to us every now and then. We can't even really explain why it's such an appealing concept, but being known as the worst spender in the history of humanity does come with a rather large list of perks, to say the least. When it comes to expenses, however, there are plenty of viable choices to go for when looking to affirm yourself as the richest person around, and more specifically as the biggest spender in the world. You can go for a new computer, a personal plane, or better yet, a brand new luxurious car. As you can already tell from the title today, we will be targeting the people out there that believe that the more expensive their car is, the better. There's no shame in that. Sometimes you just want to show off and you have the budget for it. So, in this short article we will show you the most expensive car brands in the world, and you probably won't believe your eyes when you'll see just how incredibly expensive these vehicles can get. Regardless, for now let's start off with the basics. This is one of those brands that immediately just comes up to mind when even considering the most expensive car brands in the world. Mercedes-Benz. If you're looking for a luxury brand that really lives up to its name, then Mercedes-Benz definitely have you covered. Not only are they pioneers in the game, but they also make for some of the most unique looking cars on the market. The best part about them is the fact that they make cars that somehow justify the enormous price tags. That's right, even though you'll have to work 2 whole lifetimes for the opportunity to buy one of these models, we'd argue that it's well worth the investment since they're just that good. Audi. The coolest part about Audi is that while they do make some of the most expensive cars in the world, and we do mean that, they actually also make some budget-friendly versions as well to make sure that everyone can own an Audi and be happy with it. If that wasn't enough to get you to buy one for yourself, then how about we talk for a second about their newest lineup in the Q9 series. That is pretty much their flagship car right now, and by God, if it turns out anything like what we're expecting them to pull out, then this might very well be the best car that we've ever gotten to see with our own eyes. They've also recently been tackling the SUV and the sportback niches a lot more than before, which might be an indicator as to where their brand is heading up next. BMW. Was there ever any doubt? BMW make the most popular luxury cars in the world, so it should be pretty obvious that they would be at the top of this list. But hey, you don't have to trust our opinion, trust the actual stats that come with it. They actually own 22.8% share of the search interest as of 2021. And that's despite their absolutely abhorrent price tags. There's something amazing about this brand, and even though we most likely will never get to afford any one of their top flagship models, we can still salivate at the thought of being close to one in public. Land Rover. Despite the fact that we don't usually consider the Land Rover brand to be anywhere near the likes of Maserati or Rolls-Royce, when it comes to their stock over the market and their top models, it gets pretty obvious fairly quickly that they're not playing around. Using their incredible technology, Land Rover have literally reignited everyone's love for simple yet incredibly powerful SUVs that can easily take on the toughest of conditions and just pull through in an instant. Their flagships make for the perfect testament for quality over quantity for sure. Cadillac. We're literally more excited for the Cadillac Lyriq than we've ever been for another model, and that should instantly tell you that this is not a company that is ever worth taking for granted. Cadillac have continuously shown off to the world that they're more than willing to change up the game and revolutionize the industry, and they continue to leave us completely in shock and awe with each new model they release to the market. Tesla. The best part about Tesla is most definitely its incredible control of the online market. In case you lived under a rock all these years, you should know that Tesla have made their way onto the scene around 2003, and ever since they did, they started a whole new niche of cars we never even considered to be possible. As time moved on, Tesla continued to up their prices as well, trying to make the most out of their new following to change up the game even further. Because of this, as of 2021, Tesla makes some of the most expensive cars in the world. If you're looking to get their most expensive models, you are literally about to be disappointed, as very few people, maybe Elon Musk and a handful others, can actually afford these beauties. Lotus Cars. Yet another incredibly rare pick. Lotus Cars is a brand that's known for manufacturing some of the sportiest cars you'll ever get to look at, and most importantly, some of the most expensive cars in the world. The reason for this is the fact that they don't just make any cars, they actually specialize in creating compact models that are mostly sold off to collectors. Take for example the Lotus Excel or the Lotus Evora. These are literally worth a fortune and a half to own and to maintain, but if you have the money for it, it's definitely one of the most unique ways to flex on your friends, to say the least. Jaguar. There aren't all that many companies out there that can really hold a candle to the empire that Jaguar have built themselves over the years, and that's a fact. Regardless of whether you've ever owned or even seen one with your own eyes, you know that the company doesn't mess around when releasing new models. You most likely also know about their affinity for using high tech to the point where they continuously up the ante every year. Take for example their 2021 F-Type model, that one's said to be able to reach a speed of 275 km per hour, and that's no simple feat. Couple that with the incredibly sleek look and you've got what many would refer to as the dream car right here. The only real downside, or in this case upside, is the price tag. Making the best cars in the world is no cheap feat, to the point where we'd honestly be shocked if more than a handful of people can actually afford themselves a Jaguar these days. Maserati. 2021 has proven to us that Maserati are made for excellency, and that's a fact. Regardless of whether you can afford one of their models or not, and let's be honest here, few people in the world can afford their luxury models, you have to agree over the fact that they make some of the prettiest cars in the world. They even went as far as to win the Best of the Best award at the Red Dot Awards 2021, which is a testament to their engineering prowess. This is what peak performance looks like, and that's a fact. McLaren. This United Kingdom-based company first came onto the scene in 1963, after the world-famous New Zealand racer Bruce McLaren figured that he wasn't just a one-trick pony and instead wanted to delve deep into the engineering niche of racing as well. Through his continuous efforts, he eventually managed to manufacture some of the most incredible Formula One racing cars in the world, but what's even better about that is that he also branched out into luxury cars as well. Because of this, McLaren cars are pretty much synonymous with style and elegance, to the point where it's impossible to even think of a McLaren vehicle that isn't super expensive, and worth the investment. Koenigsegg. Back when it first hit the scene, Koenigsegg was already known as the brand to go for if you want a supercar that can really live up to its name. Christian von Koenigsegg didn't just want to make a car, he wanted to make the fastest car in the world, and as soon as the 1997 Cannes Film Festival came up, he left everybody with their jaws to the ground. Nowadays the cars they make are especially expensive, thanks to their high performance and of course, the environmental factor that they always boast with. Pagani. The Italian manufacturers will forever be remembered as both the best, and the most unique workers in the world. Not only did they change the industry how we know it, but they continue to do so with their incredible top-of-the-line creations to this day. Take for example Pagani, a brand that started in the shadow of Lamborghini. They continued to work harder, and harder until they essentially became one of the top sports car manufacturers in the world today. They make fast cars that also look completely out of this world as well. SSC North America. There are plenty of European brands that are fighting amongst each other for the bragging rights of being known as one of the rarest and most unique manufacturers in the world, but when it comes to the United States there's only one that comes to mind. We're talking about SSC North America, an American supercar brand that you most likely never even heard of. That's how niche it is. They are no strangers to making quality vehicles though, as back in 2007 they quickly rose to the tip of the iceberg after they created the fastest production car in the world. Aston Martin. Commonly referred to as one of the most luxurious car brands in the world, Aston Martin is one of a kind in that they actually started making cars back in 1913, but they instantly rose to fame as soon as the James Bond movies came about. Because of this the price went up, literally skyrocketed to the point where only a handful of people can ever say that they own a classic Aston Martin car. But this isn't just about looks, their cars are also incredibly powerful to the point where they're literally amongst the best in the world. Ferrari. You already knew that Ferrari was going to be on this list, and that's a fact. Regardless of whether you're a fan of the brand or not, you already know of the infamous incredibly high price tag that each new model boasts around with, but there's a reason for it. It's worth it. Like it or not, Ferrari are pretty much unbeaten nowadays when it comes to their brand popularity, as they continue to change things up and even aim their crosshairs at different niches altogether. Did you know that they're getting ready to tackle the SUV market? That's right, with the Ferrari Koenigsegg, Ferrari is hoping to change things up again as they step forth into a brand new niche, the luxury SUV. Lamborghini have been at the top of the game for a very long time now, but recently they really started to test their user base with what many would refer to as a direct challenge to see how much they're willing to pay for the latest models. This new price tag was introduced as soon as they started implementing a ton more heavy tech to their cars, including Amazon's Alexa and a ton of different voice-activated modules and other such technological mumbo-jumbo that has really upped the price in no time. Can anyone still afford them? Yes, but just barely, and we're talking about the richest people in the world over here, the top 0.1%. Bentley. As far as luxury goes, there aren't a lot of cars on this planet that can rival the mighty Bentley, and that's a fact. Most likely you never see one of these either unless you're in an extremely rich neighborhood, as that's the only type of crowd that could even hope to own one of these for themselves. They started off making some incredible racing cars as well, which is why they're so good at making speedy sports cars nowadays. Needless to say, if you want both class, speed and power, then Bentley's the only right choice. Bugatti. As of 2020, Bugatti literally have everyone gasping for air every time they show off a new model that they're ready to put out on the street, and for good reason too. They've made some incredible looking vehicles, and despite the fact that they may not look it, when they came out, they were all one of a kind. The reason as to why they sort of lost this factor is because everybody started copying them. Regardless, even with that setback, Bugatti still makes some incredibly expensive cars that very few people in the world are ever going to be able to casually drive around in. Rolls-Royce. If you're looking for royalty level luxury, then look no further than Rolls-Royce, since they're pretty much just waiting at the top for any other brand to catch up to them. They even received Top Gear's 2020 Luxury Car of the Year as a result to their incredible Rolls-Royce Ghost model, which we honestly support wholeheartedly since that's one of our absolute favorites. Regardless, since they do make a lot of limited edition models, let's be honest here, buying any of their Phantom Tempest collection is akin to selling your body on the deep web, since you'll never be able to live the same lifestyle after making this purchase. So, there you have it, that's a list of the most expensive car brands in the world. While a few of them can definitely be interchanged amongst themselves, let's be honest here, regardless of which is number 10 and which is number 5, we still can't afford their most expensive cars regardless. But alas, at the very least we can still look up photos and see what the fuss is all about, and that's more than enough for us. Just remember that these prices are usually there for a reason, meaning that they needed them for the sake of making them as amazing as they are. We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to click that like button, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.